for congratulating you because this is huge. Queen of Glory has your name all over it.
It's true.
Yes. So, I mean, writer, director, you did and then you just recently premiered, right, in Tribeca last?
No, we did Tribeca last year.
Oh,
And
last.
so, and that began our festival run, and it is now ending because we are premiering in theaters this weekend.
Okay, great. So talk about that moment when you first had it on theater with an audience.
Well, the very first time at Tribeca, I was too afraid to watch it with an audience. So I sat in the green room while it screened, and then just kept like asking every like 5 minutes, like, is it going well? Is it going well? Is it going well? And but then by the time we premiered at London Film Festival, BFI London Film Festival, in October of 2021, I was ready to watch it in a theater with an audience, and it was a packed house, sold out screening, and it was delightful. It was amazing. It was just so crazy to just see hundreds of people like watching this thing that had been in my head for so long. That was really amazing. It was a very memorable moment.
So like you said, right now it's been in your head for a very long time. What is it that made you want to just execute and just do it?
Well, I mean, honestly, I would have executed and done it a long time ago, but like when you tell investors or people who work at hedge funds that like what you want to do is make a dark comedy at a Christian bookstore in the Bronx, the money doesn't exactly come pouring in. So it took me a long time to actually just get the film made, and just get it off and get it off the ground. So that was really that was a big part of the delay, frankly. But in the meantime, I was kind of like sharpening my toolkit, and getting ready so that when we were able to go, we could hit the ground running.
I read somewhere that you also can relate as Nana and Sarah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would say that the film is not autobiographical, but I think that there's an emotional truth that is, an emotional authenticity, that there's some overlap between me, Nana, and Sarah, the main character. I think, but I think that, and I think that that's what people have responded to. I think, after Tribeca, we went on to film festivals in, Asia and Europe and the subcontinent and everything. And it was so unbelievable that like no matter where we were with this film, if it's somebody from Argentina or Ecuador or South Africa or Nepal, and they would be like, wow, this story feels really familiar, like this, like what she's going through, that I really identify with that. And I think that was the biggest reward of all, especially for those hedge fund guys who didn't believe that the story could be universal.
Well, and as a director, what was the scene that you looked forward to shooting?
The scene I looked forward to shooting the most was the scene when the character of Tanya goes into labor, and the family is just kind of like, running around trying to get out of the house for this woman to go have her baby. And the reason I loved it was because we got to rehearse it like a play, because it's all one shot and the camera is static. And then the characters are kind of going in and out, up and down. And so that was really fun and funny, and just like watching, rehearsing pratfalls and like, okay, you're going to go look for this, and then this isn't going to be over there, and we're going to find out that she had it the whole time. And like, so kind of getting that whole thing, synthesized was a real joy.
That looked fun. A lot of movement, a lot of activity. I was laughing at how she's like still trying to sneak the wine.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's got their own agenda, but somehow it all works in this very messy chorus.
That was where the families, it was such key for Sarah, because here she is in her home where she grew up, but yeah, she keeps going to her neighbors to find, I feel like, some sort of stability or normality.
Yeah, which I think is interesting, because that family's not perfect either, right? They're kind of like always at each other's throats, and everybody's yelling all the time and stuff like that. But there's something, that family is very expressive, whereas Sarah, and it seems like her dynamic with her father is very repressed. And so I think it doesn't feel too far of a leap, that she almost feels more comfortable next door because she can at least express herself. There's license to express herself versus the kind of repressive element, repressive family dynamic that she has with her father.
And like you mentioned before, I feel like this movie, we can all relate in some way, especially when you're in between two cultures.
Right, exactly. And I think that was also part of what I was getting at when I was saying, how it's been received, around the world as we've done our festival circuit, is that people seem to be really excited about the film for that reason. Even though it's hyper specific to the Ghanaian-American experience, somehow it ends up then being universal, which I think is really cool.
One of the scenes that I found key of that was the butcher scene.
Yeah.
I could relate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes. Yeah. It's very, us, we love our, global South. We love our meat and we love it fresh. And that therefore leads us to the halal butcher, which for me as a child was like a horror show. I just couldn't believe like this was real. And it's kind of remarkable that I'm not a vegetarian now, but
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yes. Thank you for acknowledging that, Nancy.
It is hard. What was the casting like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, the most prevalent question I get about casting is, where did I find Meeko Gattuso? And because he is now somewhat famous for his role of Mouse in Euphoria, in HBO's Euphoria. However, we also he did an independent film called Give Me the Loot, and that film and my film share a producer. So I knew of him from before. I'd seen his work and I found him really magnetic on the screen. This is obviously pre-Euphoria. And so as I was writing the character of Pitt, I just started thinking about him, and then I started writing it for him. And then I got to a point where I was like, wow, I've really written this for Meeko. I really hope he says yes, because I could be pretty screwed if like I've written it so specifically for this guy. Like, where else am I going to find, somebody like Meeko? And he graciously accepted the role. So I was really grateful for that. But yeah, and then the rest of the casting, I think we tried to cast against the obvious, like I just think that there was like a lot of like you see like like Russian mom, and you would expect like a lot of people who are sucked into an Hervé Leger bandage dress, and like and like with like lots of big work done to their face and a high ponytail, and like that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted through my conversations with Anya Migdal, the actress who played Tanya, like I learned about her journey as an actor and the kind of stereotypes that she was going up against. And so I was like, like I want you to play against that. I want you to be a little bit frazzled and a little bit, messy. I don't want you to be like this icy Russian, stereotype that oftentimes you encounter on screen. So it was like that for most of them. For everybody who I cast, I really wanted to get to the truth of who they were rather than, and cut past the stereotypes.
Can you talk a little bit about the videos you integrated that displays and shows off your culture?
Yeah. So that was that came kind of late in the game, to be honest. That wasn't something that I had set out to do when I wrote the script. However, I ended up kind of, it sounds so cliche, but really like 2:00 in the morning, kind of like, oh my God, I've unlocked the key. There was something missing in the film, and I was like, I know what it is. And so then we set out to find a Ghanaian archivist who we ended up working with, and she was wonderful, and she helped us source footage from the 1960s and 70s and 80s in Ghana. And then, I watched all of it, and then, we figured out what we wanted to use, and we very graciously were luckily very able to use the footage, obviously, because it was copywritten and all that stuff. So we were able to make a deal and get that used in our film.
This film is a lot for these people that are kind of like between cultures, right? And at the same time, the film kind of celebrates the background where we come from, regardless in which culture we're at.
Yeah.
And I really identify in the present.
Yeah, and I think that that's what happened. That was the link that was missing, that caused me to seek out the archival footage. You know, it was really about like, oh wait, like, you know, let me like anchor this in the old world, because this is such a new world story, right? It's so much about like New York and being first generation and living in between that hyphen. And I was missing that tether to the old country. So being able to find that footage and use that footage, I felt like gave that like visual representation of the old country to the film, which I think worked really well.
Did.
I'm biased, but yeah.
It did. So right now, you know, you said you're promoting Queen of Glory since the release is going to be coming up. What's next for you after this that you can share?
Well, right now I'm in London. I'm shooting a new show for Netflix with Carrie Russell called The Diplomat, and that's, I think, going to be very good. I'm very excited about it. The scripts are so great, and we're having so much fun. And then I've got, you know, some irons in the fire. I've been developing some more TV shows with HBO Max and Amazon and Showtime, who've all been really great collaborative partners. So I'm really hopeful that you'll be hearing from me very soon.
That's great. That's great. Well, congratulations. I enjoyed your film. Like I said, I felt a lot where I could relate. And yeah, we cannot give up the meat part, unfortunately. I wish I could myself. I tried.
I try to, you know, rein it in a little bit. All right, have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.